Hi guys, we are back this week and we are going to teach you how to make some homemade Italian food. We're going to hit homemade sauce, pasta, and meatballs. With the last name like Boscarino, you know, Tony's got some really good homemade sauce. And me being Irish, German, and African, I'm going to show you how to make a really good Italian meatball and homemade pasta. We're going to do the meatballs first, and what I use for meatballs, 80-20 beef. It is not lean. You don't want lean. They don't hold together very well. I use a pound of ground pork. A lot of people use veal. I would rather snuggle a baby cow than eat one. Have 3/4 cup of water on hand, 2 eggs, French bread, and then any seasoning that you want, okay? We're gonna go ahead and get the meat in here. Don't use the paper, throw that out. Get your eggs. All right. I say you can use any seasoning you want. A lot of people use rosemary, and I'm just not a huge fan of rosemary. But I use a little bit of salt, a little bit of onion powder, a lot of oregano, a lot of garlic powder. Black pepper and salt. So, I've made meatballs in a variety of ways over the years, and a very close family friend uses, I used to use breadcrumbs. A really close family friend who actually is very Italian and makes some of the best meatballs I've ever had in my life, uses real bread. I believe she soaks hers in water. I was making meatballs for about 50 people for mine and my sister's birthday. I made the meatballs for 50 people, and she got to drink and socialize. But after that dinner, I actually had someone offer to pay me to make meatballs for them. They paid me in wine. It was fair trade. But I had done a little bit of research. It was the first time I was cooking for 50 people, you know. Wanted to make sure I had the best meatballs. I still seasoned it the same way, but to get the melt in your mouth butter texture, I read to put a little bit of water in my meatballs with the bread to soften it up. And they were delicious, and that's how I've made mine ever since. So, water. Now, you gotta get dirty, guys. Sorry, you gotta get dirty. So now I'm just gonna mix all of this up. Egg, water, meat, nasty things that you don't necessarily want to touch with your bare hands, but that's the way you gotta get it done. Make sure that it is all nice and mixed together. All right, now, my test to see if it is seasoned appropriately. No, I do not take a big handful of raw meat and eat it, but I do smell it. And this actually needs a little bit more garlic powder and oregano. If I could please have my assistant chef come over from around the camera for a second.
More oregano, dear?
Yes, please.
Okay. Say when.
When, and then a whole bunch more garlic powder.
Say when.
Keep going. All right, that's good.
It's kind of like the cheese and all of
There you go. Thank you. Oh my God, thank you for saying cheese. I totally forgot. Would you please get out the shredded Parmesan? Thank God, y'all. You need Parmesan in your meatballs. I don't know what I would do without him. I'm telling you, this pregnancy brain is a real thing. I had everything set out, ready to go. I forgot something still. I've been told that it doesn't go away or get better.
Sorry guys, our cheese drawer in the fridge is extremely full. We really, really, really like cheese.
I love cheese. All the cheeses. All right.
Maybe about half of this, huh?
Yeah, put about half of a bag. So that's going to be about a cup.
It's the fun part about Italian food. You don't really have to measure. It's kind of to your taste.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, baby. All right. These are going to be, oh my God, it smells, so, I can smell it already. Like I said, a lot of people like rosemary in theirs. I'm just not a rosemary fan. I mean, it's a pretty decorative plant. Just not my thing. Okay, and yeah, this smells absolutely amazing. So from here, we are going to move over to the stove and start rolling our balls. And I fry mine and bake them. Some people bake them the whole way, some people fry them the whole way, and seriously, like 15 years ago, I watched my dad make them, and he fries and bakes them, and so I was just like, all right, that's the way I'll do it too, and that's just the way that I've always done it. So we're gonna start rolling some balls and fry them up over here. Okay, so we are at the end of frying up our meatballs. I use just regular vegetable oil, and I have one little bitty meatball here, and the rest of them are pretty large. So if I were cooking for a bunch of people, then I would stretch my meat and make a bunch of little meatballs. But since it's just the man and I tonight, I made a bunch, or several very large meatballs. Okay, so I am removing them from the oil to a baking dish that is greased. And then I'm going to bake them at 350 for 20 minutes. And remove that from the heat.
All right, so we're gonna get started on the sauce. Right now I have some preheated extra virgin olive oil, and I'm gonna go ahead and get my onions going. Now this is a base for just about any kind of Italian sauce, red sauce that you are gonna make. Whether you're gonna make a meat sauce, just a red sauce. This is one whole chopped onion. And we're gonna go ahead and get that going until it is good and translucent. And then we're gonna add our garlic and herbs. The garlic and herbs is the fun part. It's kind of my secret. I'm not sure if it's really a secret, but it's what I do. I do get a lot of compliments on my pasta sauce, so either all of my friends are humoring me or it is really good. So let's get these going, and we'll go ahead and get started on our garlic and herbs. Give me just a minute. All right, guys, so what we have here, and this is the secret sauce to my secret sauce. And I can guarantee anybody that has had my red sauce, this is the exact way I make it when you eat it, so I'm not hiding anything. There's nothing else, there's nothing extra. I make it the same way almost every time, but it is Italian food, so everything is kind of to taste. We're going to start out with some garlic and put it here in the food processor. And at this point, I'm just going to add some fresh oregano. Depending on how sweet you want your sauce, I'm not a huge fan of super sweet spaghetti sauce. A couple sprigs of basil. And then at HEB you can get, or your local grocery store, you can get a little pack of semi-dried herbs. Now this is just basil, oregano, and parsley, but it seems to add a little bit to the sauce, and I enjoy putting it in there. That being said, we do grow our own vegetables and herbs. We will do a garden to table episode with pasta sauce once everything comes to harvest. So since it is March, it is planting season, so we have nothing but some little tiny shrubs for tomato plants in the garden at the moment. So we're just gonna give that good and mixed up, and you're not gonna be able to hear me over this, so just enjoy the view. That's kind of what we're looking at right here. And we're going to go ahead and add this to our onions that have been growing here for a while. They're nice and fragrant and translucent. And we'll go ahead and mix this up. Now, one thing I did learn in a cooking class that I did not know before is that after about a minute, garlic starts to lose its effect. So we want to saute this for about 45 seconds to a minute, and then we'll go ahead and add our tomatoes. So if y'all could be in the room with us right now in our kitchen, it smells absolutely amazing. This is probably one of the greatest smells in the world. So we're about good here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add our tomatoes. Well, what I have here is a can of chopped San Marzano style tomatoes. Add that in there and not hit my camera stand. Guys, we're a little new at the whole filming thing, but each week we will get better and better as we learn. Life is a learning process. So I went ahead and added another can of crushed, just regular Hunt's crushed tomatoes. And then we're going to go ahead and add a full can. This isn't the small can. This is a 12-ounce can of just H-E-B brand tomato paste. You can kind of do this to your preference. I like the 12-ounce can, but as we've said several times this episode, Italian food is a lot to your taste. So we're gonna go ahead and get this mixed up. And guys, if you were making a meat sauce, so say if you were gonna add some Italian sausage, or if you were gonna add some hamburger, or anything like that, you would go ahead and do that after after your onions are good and before you added the garlic and herb mixture. We're just gonna give this a good stir, and what I like to do is let this simmer for a little while, and then I'm gonna go ahead and taste it, and then I just keep a can of Masio's. It's a local store here in Galveston, Italian seasoning, and it'll make up for anything that I'm missing. So we'll let this simmer for a while, give it a taste, let everything kind of meld together, and then we'll see where we're at. All right, guys, so we did taste it, and this was the seasoning I was telling you about earlier. I'm sure that if you're not local to the Houston area, you can find this online. If not, find people at Masio's Market, start selling it online. This is one of my favorite Italian seasonings. I use it on almost everything. So I'm just gonna add a little bit, and then this is just a little bit of dried seasoning. If I can open the right end. And it just makes up what I'm lacking. And after this, we're gonna add the meatballs. They're about done in the oven. And then we're gonna let that simmer, and the famous chef Kelly is going to show you how to make pasta from scratch. And I think we'll all learn something because, yeah. And guys, just like we forgot the cheese and the meatballs earlier, we do add a good healthy amount of salt and pepper to our sauce. I kept tasting it and wondering what I was missing, and realized I had put zero salt or pepper in this sauce. So we're gonna go ahead and add that now and give it a good stir. And then we're gonna add our meatballs. All right, guys, now that our sauce is going, our meatballs have been fried and baked to perfection. We're gonna go ahead and let them simmer in the sauce while we make our homemade pasta. And guys, you can do this, you can start it in the morning, let it go all day on simmer. If you're in a pinch, you can do it in, an hour or so like we did this evening. And then it's always better the next day. That's with most things Italian food. So we're gonna go ahead and get all these added, give it a good stir, and we'll be right back with Miss Kelly's homemade pasta lesson.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, well, several years ago, my dad was going on a horseback elk hunt in Montana or something, and my mom said he gets to have all the fun. And so I took her on a little trip to Savannah, and one of the things that we did was take a cooking class, and we learned how to make homemade pasta. I've always made it with regular all-purpose flour. My insanely intelligent husband told me to make it with semolina flour. That's what you're supposed to do, and I did not like it at first, but the secret is you have to let it rest for a minute so it's not sticky, okay? But you need semolina flour, an egg, olive oil, again with the baker's joy, grease the weasel so it goes through easily, a measuring cup, and have some water on hand. So I'm gonna get a healthy cup of my semolina flour. And I do have my all-purpose flour on hand for after I cut the pasta so that it doesn't stick together. You have to dust it with a little bit of flour. But make a little bit of a well in your flour. Take your egg. Try to do it as much in half as possible. All right. Now, 1/2 of your egg is going to be your oil. The other half is going to be your water. And it goes crazy. And you're going to mix all of this up. It is not a clean job, okay? If it is too dry, always use more water, not more oil, because then it'll just be goopy and weird and it won't work.
I'm kind of jealous, Kelly. You got all of the messy, fun jobs tonight, and
I would gladly
all I
trade
did was
you.
stir pasta sauce.
I would gladly trade you. All right. So this is at the right consistency, and we just need to let it set for a minute before we try to roll it out. Okay, so when you're making this at home, give it about 5 to 10 minutes, let it get its life together before you try to start messing with it again. All right, so we've let it sit and it got a little firm. You want to flour it with all-purpose flour and get it a little thin so it'll fit through your pasta maker. So when we did our class, we got to use a crank pasta maker like this, but it was enormous and made such light work of the whole thing. I got this little guy for about 25 bucks, 20 bucks at a Bed Bath & Beyond. It does the job. It's just not professional grade. So if you've never used one before, it has a vise to clamp it down onto the counter so that it doesn't get away from you, because I've done that several times. You have your little cranking device over here, and on this side you have a knob that makes it thinner. So each time you go through, you thin out your pasta. Right now I have it on its largest setting, and hopefully it'll crank through. I think it's still a little too thick. There we go. Next, we're gonna make it a little thinner. All right. Oops, it broke. It's very fragile. Okay. Dust this a little bit with flour. And just for time's sake, I'll go ahead and add the pasta attachment. It has a fettuccine and a spaghetti attachment. I'm gonna let you know right now. Making the fettuccine or the spaghetti, I've never been successful at it. I don't know if it's just too delicate, but I have never been able to do it. And we have our fettuccines. Okay, and after you cut them, make sure that they separate. Now, if you are going to do this and dry your pasta, you're gonna wanna invest in a pasta rack. But we're gonna just throw this on the stove here in a little bit. But after you cut them, dust them in flour so that they stay separated and they don't get sticky. All right, and we'll do this one. And here we are, ton of fettuccine. And there is such a difference between homemade pasta and the store-bought dried. So after that, you're gonna put them in boiling hot water for 3 to 4 minutes. When they float to the top and stick to a wall, that's when they're done.
And guys, here's what we end up with. A perfect bowl of spaghetti and meatballs. and an entire pot of leftovers.